Well, hello. I want to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is a show where I look at the pens that I'm using and the inks that are in them, and gives you a wide overview of the pens that I have. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, and various inks and supplies, I'd invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to comment on anything that you saw here tonight, I would welcome any comments down below. So let's take a look at the pens and inks that I'm using this week. So to start with, I'm not forgetting this one over here. We'll come back to that. So to start with, I have a Platinum 3776 with a Shungyo fin. Oh wow, horrible, sorry. Koi finish. I have a Prima 61, which is a Hungarian pen. I'll come back to that. Lamy 2000, Parker Vacuumatic, a Pilot Custom 743, Tucker Sharp, which is almost empty, a Noodler's Konrad with a re-entry nib, and two more Platinum 3776s, and a Kaweco Perkeo. Now the two pens that you can't really make out, I'm almost done with Science Olympiad, and so these pens are here as upcoming projects. This is a Pax. This is a Hungarian brand pen. Pax with a Parker-esque clip, although that's not a big deal to me. It needs a little bit of work. The nib looks misaligned, but it does feel smooth on my hand, so that may be an optical illusion. If it writes well, I'm not going to mess with the nib. Some scratches on the grip section. The biggest thing I'm worried about that I'm going to work on slowly is this right here. The piston mechanism is stuck. I don't know if I'm quite ready to force it. So I'm going to see what I can do to gently free it and before I do anything too drastic in repairing it. It looks to have kind of an interesting shape to the nib. It's almost stub-like. So when I get it writing, that'll be quite interesting. That's a project that has been on the sidelines for a while. With Science Olympiad almost over, I'm going to have time for some projects like this again. This other pen is a Marquant, which is an East German make. It's a Marquant 2000. I don't believe it's meant to compete with the Lamy 2000. There's not a whole lot of similarity there. Interesting logo. It almost looks like that energy drink Monster, which I don't drink those, but interesting nonetheless. Slip cap. Kind of a retro-futuristic looking nib and feed here, if that makes any sense. So I'm curious to see how this guy writes. I haven't inked this up either, but this is a fairly recent arrival in my stable of pens. But I did notice that. So that's an issue I want to solve before I try inking it up. Because it doesn't seem like it should be acting that way. So, if you have any thoughts on that weirdness there, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. I can't figure it out. Alright, so let's take a look at how these pens write. As always, I'll be writing this in my Bomo Art Journal. Hungarian, like two of the fountain pens. So my first pen this week is a Platinum 3776 with the koi finish, which is a decorative fish. I guess it's a celluloid. I think it's a very attractive finish. I think it was last week. It was last week. How about that? I showed you a Wingsung A698, and it was had during the video a whole bunch of ink kind of got around here, and I wasn't sure where it came from. As near as I can tell, the converter came loose, and then the ink, and as a result of my handling it for the video, that's why it had leaked. Future use of the pen, I had some cleaning to do. We'll reveal if that's the truth or not. But anyway, this is a celluloid. Some don't like this seam here. I think it helps show how the pen was made. I just find it kind of interesting. So I think down the road I'll be comparing the two pens. But anyway, in the meantime, this is a Platinum 3776. For a while, Platinum had stopped selling their celluloid finishes. I guess, you know, celluloid's a labor-intensive product to make. I'm guessing demand outstripped supply. But they are back for quite a lot more than I paid for this bad boy. I don't mind admitting that I got lucky with this pen. I'm going to have to clean this out. I'm doing a review of Platinum 3776 nibs, and then they're going to sit for a while. I'm hoping to film it on Sunday this week, and I need to have the same ink in all of them. And I had delayed washing this one out because I like this pen so much, and I don't want to put a boring ink into it, but that's what's going to happen. My next pen is almost empty. This is a Hungarian make. It's a Prima 61. Let's see if that comes into focus. I'm not quite sure of the age. I had a lot of cleaning to do on this. I did it over Easter break. It turns out that the piston mechanism has brass threads, you know, regular piston. Up here was some staining I just have not been able to get out. I mean, I can get out a little bit with the Q-tip, but it's going to take so much meticulous cleaning. I need some new ideas. No fancy finials. The piston mechanism here is kind of interesting. You uncap it, and what's this? That's not a Prima 61 nib. It's a Pelikan oblique, I think medium. Yep, OM. Pelikan oblique medium. Well, that was sort of a surprise. And a somewhat chewed up feed. I didn't see that coming when I bought this pen. So, interesting! One of those hybrid pens or Franken pens. So my furnace is turning on. I'm just going to write and pause the video till it shuts down. I like this ink because it does a good job cleaning out stains in pens. I don't know why reds are usually difficult to clean out of a pen, but what the hey. And it lubricates the workings of the pen. This pen needed some silicone grease and things to get it working smoothly. But now, I really am going to pause till the furnace gets done because the main part of the blower is about to kick on. Maybe I'll wander upstairs and get a drink of water because my mouth is all of a sudden super dry. All right, furnace is off, so let's get back to this. I had some comments about my heat source, and I think maybe one of these days I'll show it. It turns out that forced hot air isn't perhaps as popular a heat source in other countries as it is in the United States, so I might have to show it to you. Mine is one of the smallest types of forced hot air furnace that there is, but when you're filming almost next door to it, it's kind of loud. But back to the pens, because that's why you're here. So this is a Lamy 2000, which is generally my daily writer. I've shown it enough. I'm just going to cruise through it. I'll talk a little at the end of this video about what's happening this weekend, but this pen is not going with me. I love the pen, though. Next, I was going to film a review this week of the Parker Vacuumatic. That was a disastrous review for several reasons. First of all, before I got around to filming it, I watched Chris Rapp's video the Wing Sung 601, and he showed some demonstrators. One of the demonstrators has the same filling mechanism as this pen, and then there's a newer draw type mechanism. And it turned out that the demonstrators are currently available on eBay, so I bought one. So I was just going to sketch the mechanism and show you how it worked. But hey, if I can buy one that I can show you, that's even better. So that's just as well I never filmed the video. So clearly us video reviewers do not communicate with one another prior to filming our reviews. We just film. This one has a very dry nib. Usually not as dry as that though. Also very fine nibs. Some of these have rather glorious nibs. I'm not particularly impressed with this nib. It's okay. This is Kyo-iro, a brand of ink that I will be reviewing this summer when I have time to do things like that. Kyo-iro Ohara's Morning Snow. I'm not particularly a fan of this pen. It's a pain to clean it. It's okay to fill, but a pain to clean, and then the writing is not spectacular. And even though it's usually a very dry nib, that was ugh. And then I have still inked up to my very great surprise, but then I think about how little recreational writing I've been doing this week, and it all makes sense. My Pilot Custom 743. And of course, this has the wonderful Falcon nib, and the ink in it is Sailor Jentle Grenade. It will really surprise me if this is still in use next week. It's that close to empty. This one I think is close to empty, but I don't know. This is my Tucker Sharp, a third tier American manufacturer. Now, as some people pointed out last week, let's see if we can show it here. It looks like, and I hadn't caught on to this, but it looks like the nib may have been ground. Now, I'm noticing no ink in the air channel, so maybe it is empty, and I just don't know it. So we'll find out here. Yeah, that is... Yeah, I can't even shake ink down. I'll bet I emptied that out and forgot I emptied it out. Happens, especially when you're busy. And this was actually a great pen for correcting. So, you don't get to see the Tucker Sharp in action. Noodler's Konrad with a re-entry nib. Not particularly a favorite, but it's not bad. You just need the right paper. I find that with this nib, it's very dry, but on lower quality paper, it actually doesn't do too badly. This ink is Robert Oster. Summer Storm. We got 5 inches of snow a week ago. Yay. So definitely not Summer Storm here in North Dakota yet. This next pen needs to be cleaned out in preparation for that upcoming Platinum 3776 review, but I wanted to review its companion. I'll cover that in a second. So this was a good point of comparison, which is why it wasn't cleaned out yet. So the Platinum 3776. This has the soft, fine nib on it, which I think is delightful. The ink in it is Platinum Carbon Black. This next pen was going to be... After it turned out I couldn't do the Vacuumatic because I had a good visual aid to add, I was going to film this review. It was going to be filmed anyway, and I did film this review. You may have noticed there was no pen review this week. There's a really good reason. I filmed the review, and I don't know if you know, but I use a 2-camera setup, so the camera that shows me, I never actually turned it on. I mean, I had the preview in front of me, but when I thought I was filming, I was actually off, and when I thought I was off, I was on. So I had it all backwards, which shows you how little I use the preview of my face now. I can't believe I didn't notice it. That just doesn't make sense to me that I didn't notice it, but I mean, I didn't till I got upstairs, tried editing, and all I had was the writing sample, and I almost went with that, but then I thought, ooh, not quite what I want to do. So I thought, well, we'll just go without a review this week because it was getting late and I've got enough to do this week. So this has the lavande finish. It is not a soft nib. Which is why I wanted to compare the two. This is what all the Platinum 3776s will have when I do the big massive review, which don't look forward to it till about October or so. Hopefully we haven't descended into World War III or something by then. But anyway, Montblanc. And the last pen, which I inked up just for snorts and giggles. Thinking of doing a review of this one soon. This is the Kaweco Perkeo. Also with a fine nib. And the ink is Robert Oster. Jade, which I chose because I had a comment last week that, oh, you don't have any green, and they were right. So I've got a green. So those are the pens and inks I'm using this week. A couple other things going on right now, besides me screwing up my reviews with that camera right there. State Science Olympiad is this weekend, so I'm filming this on a Thursday night because I've got to go to bed and get up early to go take kids to Fargo, which is a nice long trip in a bus. Then Saturday we'll compete with a half-size team, but hey, we made it to state, so I'm hoping to do better next year, but we made it to state, where we'll compete against the Fargos and the Bismarcks and so on, but you know, that's not really the point of it to me. The point of it is to see a campus, to get to see what a college is. And these are junior high kids I'm taking this year, so it's even more alien to them, so I think it's a good experience. Some other exciting things going on. Larry Baronez sent me this book. He's a fellow YouTuber and he a pen pal. This book is called Ghost Towns of the American West. It has a ghost town on the cover. Kind of interesting. I'm not going to page through the whole thing. But the Middle West, Deadwood, South Dakota. That's right down the mountainside from Lead, South Dakota, where I was at a earlier pens in use. Medora, North Dakota. That is really close to where I live. Super close. Both are big tourist hotspots now, but apparently they nearly died at one point. So of course, I had to look at that. And you know, at least the book acknowledged that, yeah, they're tourist hotspots now. But kind of wild that they're in there. I did have street footage of Deadwood because when I went to Lead, I drove through Deadwood on purpose to get dash cam footage, and guess what? I didn't understand this new dash cam. Well, with the bigger video files, because it makes better quality video, it overwrote that footage from the first day of the trip. I only have the second day of the trip. Whoops. So I'm going to have to drive through Deadwood again. Oh darn, I'm going to have to go to the Black Hills again. Oh darn, I might have to go hiking outside while I'm there. Oh, gee, the torture will never end, will it? So I will make that sacrifice for you. We did get, last week I wasn't sure what the weather would be over the weekend. We had dire warnings for Friday, but it fizzled. It mostly went south. South Dakota got hit quite a lot worse. Minnesota got hit quite a lot worse. We ended up, I mean, it fell very heavily. And I'm glad I wasn't driving that day because I always walk to work and walk everywhere. But at the same time, it wasn't bad here. 5 inches or so of snow. We got some wind, but nothing horrific. And it was really heavy, wet snow, so it's not like that drifts nearly as much. So I think on the whole, we got off pretty easily. Yeah, I'm happy to say that my roof repair I did last fall has mostly held. I had drips once and never again. And, you know, with that heavy wet snow twice, and plus we had some snow on Tuesday, hasn't leaked again. So I'm going to go up and do a little more work on it. But if I can make that stopgap hold for another couple of years, then I can repair the whole roof correctly. If I have to repair it now, I can repair it. I've got the funds, but I can't repair it the way I want it repaired. So that it'll, basically I want to repair it in such a way that I can die in this house if I so choose and never have to think about the roof again. Sorry, that's a little morbid, but it would be lovely if it could, you know, I want to put a steel roof up there and do a little rejiggering of the roof line and have it last till I'm in my 80s. That would be dandy. So, goals! Anyway, other than that, those are the pens that I have in use. I go into Science Olympiad. Expect probably next week. I'm actually thinking I might film, so I'll have to take a camcorder along. But I might see something neat to film with the camcorder anyway. I might film in my motel room where I'm staying, just to show you the 2 pens that I'm taking with me, only 2. And then maybe give you a little footage around the campus of Fargo. I took some footage last year. I'd like to take some more this year. Just give you a look at the NDSU campus and what you can get in North Dakota. So that might be interesting. Who knows? Or I may just do a regular pens in use. That could be fun too. So anyway, I thank you for watching. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old, and perhaps chat a little about things going on in my life, please feel free to subscribe. If anything I've talked about in this video strikes your fancy or your interest, I would love to hear from you, so please comment down below. And again, I do apologize for not getting a review up this week, but I failed with that camera, and it was totally my fault because I didn't look at that iPad to make sure it was recording. And no, that camera doesn't blink when it's recording. It's totally anonymous. So anyway, I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.